Hi everyone, it's Thursday night, 9 o'clock. It's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. Here I am, Brent Graham, hopefully looking a bit healthier than I have the last couple of weeks. Pleased to say I've put COVID-19 behind me and feeling a hell of a lot better, I can tell you. Been watching with absolute fascination the US elections over the last day or two. It's still droning on now. I mean, how they can count 140 million votes in an hour and then drag their feet over the next few, I've absolutely no idea. But anyway, we're going to touch on a bit of election because one of my guests tonight, at least one of them made quite a bit of money. I think actually both of them might have made quite a bit of money on the way that this election is going. But let's introduce, and I'm going to start off with Oracle Rugby, or Oraclepedia as he calls himself now. He's looking pretty happy with himself over there. Gavin Cohen, how are you, sir?
Very good, thanks, Brent. Yeah, going well. And a lot of people, you've just mentioned the election, and yes, I did make a small packet there. But the best part about it for me is, I just mentioned to you before we came on, is everybody says to me, "Oh, you like Biden? You're a supporter of Biden." I said, no. For me, this was quite simply Trump or no Trump, and I went for no Trump. In fact, in my case, it was Trump versus field, and I've taken the field. So, I really couldn't care about this. I don't know anything about him, haven't heard him speak. But what I did realize is that I punted Trump last election at 11-2. Everybody laughed at me. I realized the Americans, half of them are, a bit silly, and they voted him in. And I realized that after 4 years, they'd realized that he was a complete chop. And people that didn't vote for him didn't vote Democratic the last time would come out of the closet or the cupboard or whatever and fill out a mail-in ballot. And
I was going to say, at the very least, open an envelope and put a vote in there. People who I think. But
you were talking about
very well.
You're talking about the counting. So the interesting thing again, a lot of people don't understand how this election works. The counting of the walk-in ballots is actually quite easy. They've got machines that count them. But the ones in the envelope, they have to check that the guy's a real person. They got to check the signature against a table of signatures or whatever it is. But apparently they can only run at about 10,000 of these things, 10,000 ballots per hour or something like that. So it's painstaking. I mean, that Pennsylvania, that's probably going to be the last one counted. They're sitting on 88%. They've already counted 6.5 million. So that means there's another 700,000 to come. And that's going to take them 70 hours to count that. So, I told people on Tuesday we'd probably get a result on Friday, but it looks like it might only be on Sunday. There's still a long way to go. And the last thing I want to say before we start talking about rugby is that these mail-in ballots are between 80 and 95% Democratic. And those are the guys that didn't get in their car and drive and stand in a queue.
Not only have we not started talking about rugby yet, we haven't even introduced the other panel, and we had a good long chat on the election. But certainly I have found it absolutely fascinating. Not a big CNN fan, but I really did enjoy their coverage of the election. Let's go to the top of the screen and say, how's it to Chris? Back again, Chris, you had some good couple of weeks. Ready to go in a game with a few winners?
Yeah, absolutely. Some great bets, obviously, of course. Yeah, no, good. Thanks, Brent. Obviously, yeah, great to be back. Last week was pretty good. Looking forward.
Excellent. And before I introduce our final guest, just to welcome all the guys in the live chat joining us as well. And at the Crow Tips is where you can find Chris on Twitter there if you want to find him there. And then someone who was very doubtful starter tonight, but has come in. I'm assuming that means the Tinder date didn't go ahead or something along those lines. You could tell us now, but it's the conductor. Conductor, good to have you on the show, mate.
Thanks, Brenty. Yeah, always good to join you guys. Late inclusion. The physio gave me all good to be in the starting bench. I'm starting live tonight. So yeah, like to be here and join you boys.
Excellent. Well, let's get cracking onto the rugby. We're going to start off with some Super Rugby Unlocked, and then we'll move on to the international, and then touch on the Pro 14 and Mitre 10 Cups. I am very glad you enjoyed us, conductor, because I must say I don't have too many strong opinions on that. Let's have a look at the opening game then. It is, of course, taking place tomorrow night. And conductor, I'll start with you. The Sharks against the Cheetahs. This game opened up pretty much choice. I just want to quickly go look what my handicap for this game was. What did I go? Yeah, I went Sharks plus 3.5. So I actually thought the Cheetahs might be favorites here, but the money's actually come for the Sharks, and we're looking at a handicap of about minus 1.5 the Sharks at this point. Is the conductor money on the Sharks or not?
Brent, which side is that? Which side is the -1.5? I think I've seen about 4.5.
Sorry, maybe your -1.5 for Sharks is at Sunbet.
Okay.
Let me go on to WSB quickly. I'll tell you what their handicap. They're 5 to 6 the Sharks, and they are also -1.5 the Sharks.
To be quite honest, I'm quite surprised the money's coming in for the Sharks. I thought the money was actually coming for the Cheetahs on the basis of the team news. No Luke Kanya, no Thomas Dutoy, no Sabu Nkosi. The Cheetahs are missing Bernard Janssen van Rensburg, but for me, they're a far more settled side with Frans Steyn and I can't remember the other centre is there, but far more sets with Tian Skuman and Tian Meyer there. Yeah, they're not massively powerful in the forwards there, but the Sharks also aren't massive at the forward sort of sides either. So for me, I'll take the +3.5, +4.5 there on the handicap. But my main bet will be points unders. They say that's me 80% humidity in Durban tomorrow evening. So I think conditions will be quite tough. Looking at the last couple of results there. I think that Lions Sharks result was a clear indication of the handling conditions there in Durban. Not easy there on Friday night. Sorry, Brent?
I think it was 19-16, 35 points or something like that.
So for me, the Cheetahs have more to play for there. I think that Lions result wasn't a good result for them. That sort of draw, but they got 2 points where they probably would have won against a very depleted Lions side. So for me, the Lions have more to play for. But I think handling conditions will be very tough there in Durban, irrespective. You can be as eager as you want. You can be as as creative as you want. It's in 80% humidity with a ball like soap. South Africans can't really handle the ball. So I'm not seeing many points there. So my main, if we can get a 50 or to 50 to 55 point line there, I'll be unders or Cheetahs plus there. I think the Cheetahs will do the business.
Excellent. Well, just to mention, you mentioned unders, and I immediately thought of last week's game, Bulls against the Stormers at Loftus, where the Storm was coming in, and it did hit eventually, and in the end, it probably saved the bacon for those of us who are under 53.5. And let me ask Chris there. Chris, were you impacted by that storm that hit Loftus at all, and what are your thoughts on the Sharks game?
No, I wasn't. I was on the Bulls anyway, so it was all good for me. UK bookies didn't pay it out. I don't know if your guys did, but it wasn't actually paid up in it. But I had Bulls to win. I thought it was going to be close. It was 6-all until for 35 minutes. But yeah, that was quite an interesting game. So I've been liking the Bulls this whole season, and they're coming to the form I expect. But let's go to this game. Yeah, Sharks. Yeah, tough one, right? So interesting. The team news. For me, it's a coin toss. I didn't have any handicap for this. I thought it was going to be a straight line down the board either way. And then looking at the teams, at first I was liking the Sharks, but I really like the Cheetahs team. But I'm going to say that 3 weeks not playing is probably going to have an impact for me. I thought the Sharks were great last week. That's what I was expecting from them. Yeah, they missed an arm in Nkosi, which are big players, but in a game that, like Conductor says, could get scrappy, and I think it will. I remember those 28-degree Durban games all the time. Guys, the number 3 running in the channel, dropping the ball like all the time, and I was going down that route as well. But in terms of the result and the handicap, I just have Sharks on the board. The handicap's close enough. I did nearly toy to the Cheetahs team because I think the Cheetahs have a more balanced side. Every time I see Frans staying in a side like this, he makes the side 50% bigger in my head because I just love Frans staying at 12. I think he's got a ridiculous strike rate at 12 when he's in any team playing at 12 because he's really powerful at that position. But I just think Shark played with intensity last week. They played well. They got the job done. They'll come into this game probably a little bit better than the Cheetahs at the moment. The Cheetahs will put up a great fight. It's going to be messy, but I've got the Sharks to win. I'm not going to probably play with the handicap, and definitely it's an unders game at this point in time.
Welcome to Paul Scumby watching live on Facebook there. Thanks, Paul. Johnny Bravo looking a little grey. Might also be time for another snip. But just talking about the Sharks last week, they certainly were impressive against the Pumas. And I just want to check my internet banking yet. Yep, there it is. The deposit has landed. Gavin Cohen. He may have won a lot of money on Biden, but he took on the wrong man last week with the Sharks Pumas. Gav, the Sharks were impressive last week against the Pumas. But where are you going on this game?
Yeah, Brent, a couple of things. First of all, if that Puma I could running towards the line in the 76th minute, had thrown the ball backwards, we might have seen a different result. I think the handicap would have arrived. It was really down to that. I know that the Sharks started off very well, getting up to 21 or whatever it was. But, it was a bit of a silly call for me going for the Pumas in the end. I think that let down, they came so close to winning that Stormers game the week before, letting them score 28 unanswered points in the last 12 minutes. I've got to believe that hurt them. It was, I'm not convinced on the Sharks team, eh? If this game was the start of the season, I'd be all over the Sharks. But I'm going to go with a conductor here. I think the value actually lies with the Cheetahs. The Sharks have given us absolutely nothing in this tournament. The Lions nearly beat them. They got thumped by the Bulls. They beat a mentally let down Pumas team. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the fact that you're getting around even money for the Cheetahs sounds value to me. I know they've lost Ruan Pienaar, and that is big. I'm not really worried about the Sharks guys. They've got quite a lot of depth there, but there's something wrong with that Sharks camp. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. They went into COVID at world beaters. They came out with their tails between their legs. I don't know what was going on there. I'm going to suggest they're on borderline rubbish status at this point. I'll be very surprised if the Cheetahs don't win this game. Lastly, I saw Nathan asked, how's it going with the Pennsylvania? I can tell you now, if you can get a live in-play bet right now in Pennsylvania, you can go against Trump. Trump will not win Pennsylvania. Trump will lose Pennsylvania by at least 100,000 votes, possibly as much as 200,000.
Well, I got bad news for you there, Gavin, because the Democrats are 1-9 on WSB to win Pennsylvania. So good point, but I think the betting value's gone there. It was certainly a point where they were. You took it at the right time.
I took it at 5 to 10 last night. I thought I was stealing money. 1-9, I promise you're stealing. Take it. Put your granny's pension in the house. Get on, because 1-9 is an absolute gift. There should be no price. It's race over.
Right. Well, let's go.
Can I just add one?
Yes, sir.
Quickly, just to remind you boys, 2 weeks ago, when apparently the Bulls had absolutely no chance and the Sharks were the best side since sliced bread. I'm just going to remind you boys of that.
No, you're right, but I agree. I turn very quickly.
This is the stronger side. I agree. On paper, on normal day, I would say Cheetahs, but at the moment, at this point in time, I think Sharks will be better off from last week going into a team that's been waiting to play for 3 weeks and haven't played on. That makes them squeeze it, and that's for my. But good luck.
Just to mention, I'm very much with the conductor's main call here, which is unders on points. Obviously, it's going to be quite dependent.
I'll be more than anything. So I agree with that, definitely.
I'm hoping for a quote around the 50 mark, and I'll definitely be on the unders here. But anyway, so very much in agreement with the guys. I am leaning, if anything, towards Sharks as well. Oracle, let's get back to you, though. We got the Griquas up against the Stormers. This is taking place on Saturday at 4:30. And here we got a handicap that has moved only very slightly. I think there was sort of 10.5 Stormers earlier. I know a few guys who got their money down there. I actually thought the Griquas would be a bigger price here. I thought plus 15.5. And I must say, I've done the good for the game preview, and I've gone minus 11.5. Oracle, have I made an error here? Do you sense another cash bet coming between us?
They got the wrong favourite there, Brent. No, I'm only joking.
I was going to say, I was rubbing my hands.
You're right. You're probably right.
I'm going to tell you, I've got to fight with myself to stop getting involved in the wallet there, because I got to tell you, I can't touch this Griquas team. The Pumas smashed them. I can't touch the Stormers either. I'm going to tell you that this game can honestly play without my money. I really couldn't care what happens in Kimberley on Saturday. I'll watch the game. I'll flip between Turfentine and Kenilworth and a bit of Kimberley. But honestly, I'm not putting a red cent on this match. I have no idea where to go. If you gave me a 20-point handicap or you gave me a 5-point handicap, I wouldn't know where to go. I honestly don't know where to go. Stormers can win this game by 40. The Griquas can win it by 10. This is rubbish versus rubbish right now. Both of these teams are the pits of South African rugby at this stage.
Well, we've got a rubbish playing in the first. We've got a rubbish versus rubbish in this one. Conductor, what do you make of this? Like I said, I've actually gone Stormers here. I know there was some 10.5 early. I've taken 11.5. the Stormers have let everyone down who's backed them this season. Let's make no mistake. But I just think this Griquas side, they've lost players. You know, I think the Stormers are going to come out and they're going to dish out a bit of a lesson to the Griquas.
Well, Brent, I think the Stormers have lost 3 out of 3 handicaps, if I'm not mistaken. They lost against the Lions, they lost against the Pumas, they lost against the Bulls badly. I think actually, I think the Stormers were so thankful that it started when the lightning came at 60 minutes because they were getting absolutely hammered. I think they wouldn't have lasted 80 minutes. Look, I've taken minus 10.5. I've taken minus 10.5 purely because of just the purely value on the Griquas actually being not even a Currie Cup strength side. It's just that they actually lost so many players. I wouldn't even rate them as a club side at the moment. They're like a mishmash of players. I've got to be honest. I've got no faith in John Dobson. I think he's probably one of the worst coaches in South Africa. I don't think he should be coaching. I don't think he should be coaching under 9 Blue Bulls rugby.
So just stop there while I make a note not to tag Don Dobson on the show when I put it on Twitter.
I honestly think a guy like Salman Marach should never be playing professional rugby in his life. Even Van Stale broke 4 tackles, basically untouched. It was the most disgraceful thing I've ever seen in rugby. I cannot believe what I saw on Saturday night. It was so pathetic that guys were not prepared to put a little bit of effort in. It was a 20% effort from Stormers. I think they were very, very fortunate that the Lightning ended the game because they could have ended 56, 70-0. 70, what is it, 76 to...
tell us how you feel. Don't hold back. Tell us how you feel.
I think this is coming. I think the fact that Stormers have been actually plastering over the cracks, it's actually a pathetic union, pathetic players. Yankee against the Pumas, every time he was tackled, he threw his hands up in the air like he was being shot. Pathetic performance. So I've literally put a bit of money on the Stormers because the Griquas are not good, but the Stormers are one of the worst provinces I've ever seen in my entire life. I'd honestly see the Cavaliers beating them. They honestly look lackluster. They look unfit. They look badly coached. Sorry,
I've got to say, can you imagine how the Griquas fans are feeling watching this? You have absolutely stormed into the Stormers. You've said they're the worst side to ever walk, and then you tip the minus 10.5.
The thing is, the Griquas literally put evil. The Griquas have put the village side together, and the Stormers are literally. I mean, it's absolutely rubbish. I mean, how? I mean, in English Premier League football, John Dobson would have been fired by now. There's no way to keep a job being thumped like that. I mean, he is a poor coach. I mean, I have no idea. There's no defense. There's like zero commitment. The body language is pathetic. You can't blame fitness on lockdown. Sorry.
I'm gonna stop you there and suggest we got the message on that one there. That was excellent. Okay, so the Stormers are the worst team, but we're on the minus in that one. Chris, good luck following that, mate.
Yeah, sure. Look, I'm on the minus 10, just purely because I don't have. Look, Griquas are gutsy. They're all right, but Stormers have to come good, and I think they will. I think they got a big kick in their ass last week, even against Pumas. They got a big kick in their ass, and I think I said this 2 weeks ago about the Bulls, right? When they put it together, they're gonna steamroll. And Stormers had a kick in their ass. They are embarrassed. I said on Twitter, they're embarrassing themselves right now. They're embarrassed. The union is embarrassing. But I just think this week, with even before the Pumas game, I was predicting a minus game with Kitchoff and Willemse, who I don't rate at 10. Honestly, they need to sort. I think that's the biggest problem at the moment. The number 10 position. But I just think Stormers will come back, and if Stormers come back and play anything like they can, they're going to steamroll Griquas. So I'm minus 10, probably mid-confident, but I also like the points. I think there's going to be a bit of points around there. I think Stormers will throw it around. Griquas probably give it a go. If there's no thunderstorms or hailstorms or whatever hurricanes coming through there, I think it'll be about like a 30-odd, 20-odd game maybe as well. The Stormers' defense used to be, superb, but at the moment it's nowhere, and that's what worries me as well. For the Stormers, I'm a Stormers fan, but I just think this week Stormers are going to come good. If they don't, fine. But 10 points is enough. If it was 15, maybe not. But 10 would be enough for me, and I've taken it to 10 as well.
Yeah, it's funny how some fixtures always live in your memory. I had a big spread bet on Stormers shirt numbers many years ago against Griquas, and the game started a bit slowly, but in the end, the Stormers ran away with it. And I think number 22 scored the last 3 tries or something. I think it still goes down as my biggest spread betting win in history. So I've always got a fondness for this fixture. So I really enjoy it, and I do think that the Stormers are going to turn it on a bit. But Chris, I want to stay with you though for the final game. It's the Lions up against the Bulls, and here we've had, from what I can see, a bit of money for the Bulls. The Lions have gone sort of a plus 5.5, which is where they opened. I just want to see. I'll tell you what I capped this game at 5.5. Okay, so it's very much where I capped this game, but it's 5.5, and it's gone out to 6.5 in places now.
Yeah, and I on the UK bookies that I'm on, I had it at 4, which I've got. So I'm still super confident on the Bulls this week. Lions are great. They're pretty smart. They've got a team. They're going to be up for the fight, no doubt. But I know it's a contentious issue, but you can see the Bulls and the Jaquad influence. They're starting to play like the Bucks would play when they were difficult to beat. They've got momentum. I just think they're going to be Lions will throw everything at it, but this Bulls team now, certainly especially for this campaign, is going to be very difficult to beat. And I can't see the Lions beating them. 6 points is quite a lot. It might be closer because I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, so it could end up being like a 5-point game. But I certainly don't see I think I'm confident the Bulls are going to win. I got them at -4, but Lions are going to give a good fight and probably some good, decent points there. But I think the Bulls, for me, I'm pretty much unchanged as well. Pretty settled team. Yes, I know Conductor can't stand all the Hunt in the midfield there with his mate there, but Jake's proven himself. Yes, until they don't like him, he's going to get these guys playing rugby that's going to be difficult to beat. And the Bulls have always got power, similar to Springbok rugby, and that's why I backed Jake White at the Bulls, and that's why I wasn't as negative. I think they carry on the momentum, but Lions will give them a good fight.
Yeah, well, the way you're talking there, I think the type of bet that people could look at there if they want to follow that is something like the Bulls by 1 to 12, which is probably available around the 18 to 10 mark or so. You're expecting the Bulls to win, but maybe not by too much.
1 to 12 is good. I think even the Cheetahs Sharks, whoever you go to 1 to 12 game, those markets which are quite a big value are in play this weekend.
Right. Well, let's go down to the Oracle and get his views on this one. I see Henrik saying he's expecting points, and Neil reckons, I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong one there, but Neil reckons the Lions are going to cover. Oracle Rugby, there was a time when we had a Lions game where we almost knew you were coming out in support of the Lions, but maybe been burnt a few times over the years. But then which way are you going on this one?
I'm going to just give you a bit of analysis on this. The problem with the Bulls is the Bulls have played the Griquas, they snuck home. They played a rubbish Stormers, they thumped them. They played a rubbish Sharks, they thumped them. When they played the Cheetahs, they didn't look like everyone's talking about them. So what's happening now is they're playing against a team that's beaten 3 handicaps. Or, I'm not going to call it comfortable wins, but they were sitting where they could have won the game twice. They were well in control against the Griquas last week. I think they got the wrong favourite here. And the reason why they've got the wrong favourite is because of these massive wins that the Bulls have had against rubbish teams. The Lions, this Lions team, I say they beat the Bulls. I say they beat the Bulls by 10. I think that everybody that's showing up, anything for the Bulls here is looking at results that don't really count. They just don't count. I think this Lions team, it's settled. They know what they're doing. It's a young side. As I said in a couple of weeks ago, it's a David versus Goliath sort of attitude. They've come into this tournament thinking, well, we're not going to win this tournament, but we'll give it a go. And they've definitely given it a go. And honestly, I think they beat this Bulls team. I think they beat them. I wouldn't even touch the plus here. I'm going board, and I think they got the wrong favourite.
Right. So, Gav, just to let you know, Lions on the board is you can get what's a World Sports betting now 2 to 1.
10 or 2 to 1, yeah.
Yeah, 2 to 1. So you can get a good price there.
I'll wait a little bit, and I'll probably get an even bigger price, maybe as much as 5 to 2 on Saturday afternoon.
Well, I tell you, while you were speaking there, I noticed the conductor nodding his head. Now, I wasn't sure if he was nodding his head in agreement or he was thinking, now I can rope Gavin into a bet. Conductor, explain yourself there.
It's for the first time on this show I've ever been in agreement with Gavin. But I'm in very much agreement with Gavin on this. The Bulls beat a terrible Sharks side, and they beat an even worse Stormers side. I think the guys are not climbing onto that and sort of overrating the Bulls. I still don't rate this Bulls side. I like the lines on the board there. I like the lines on the plus. To me, the Lions have got far more sort of team cohesion than the Bulls will ever have in their side. I like their spirits. I like the way they beat the Griquas. They lost narrowly to the Sharks in difficult conditions in Durban. Lost narrowly in Cape Town. This is a game that I like this Lions to actually beat the Bulls quite easily. I actually like the Lions -6.5 here. I know I'm following. I'm actually a top Gav here and say I'm not even going to take Bulls and Lions on the board. I'm going to take -6.5. I don't rate the Bulls side by any means.
So I'm just looking at the handicaps here because WSB have got the alternate handicaps. So I'm just want to quickly see what price you'll get.
What's -5.5 and -9.5? What are those?
So -5.5 Lions 7-2, -6.5 where the conductor's going is 4-1, and -9.5 is 6-1. Gavin.
Yep, that's got my interest. Definitely.
Okay,
for me, Brent, is that honestly, if a team like the Stormers make Mornay Steyn look like Carlos Spencer, it reflects poorly upon the Stormers more than the Bulls. He's a 37-year-old. He's my age. And he's tipping and dinking and behind the back. It was more that the Stormers were absolutely rubbish as opposed to the Bulls being amazing. Look, Dwayne Vermeulen, incredible. Marco van Staan, unbelievable. And I must give kudos. I know I ripped them apart. Simon Gans has actually played very, very well. Hendricks, the centre, played very, very well. Curtis Arends also very, very good at wing. But I think they're running up against the guys that are actually far more motivated for this. The Lions won't roll down here. I think they're keen for this game. So I'll take the +6.5 with joy. I'll take Lions on the board, and I'll take some Lions minus here. I think fair weather in Joburg. I think the Bulls going to expect a bit of a reversal, and that bodes well for my Cheetahs to win the Super Rugby Unlocked.
Just to mention, if anyone hears a loud noise outside, that's the fair weather in Joburg. We're having one hell of a storm here at the moment. But I take your point. Well. The weather should be good for the game. But Chris, you wanted to add something in on this?
No, look, I mean, obviously I'm again 2 against 1 here on the second game again. But I hear your points and I agree. I mean, Lions are a great side. I call them street smart. They've been street smart since I think Mitchell arrived. They definitely can be up for it. But I think to write off the Bulls is like hammering the Sharks by 30, 40 points and the Stormers means nothing. I wouldn't be seeing it that way. They're not bad. Like Stormers, have been playing badly, but they're still not a bad side in quality. And I just think to write off the Bulls off the payroll. But absolutely understand to go for the Lions. Bulls are pretty good to me as well, so I'm probably a little bit biased to the Bulls because they won me money over the last couple of weeks, so there's a little bit of impartialness there. But yeah, that's what my last view.
Well, we'll move on to Australian. Sorry, a high-scoring game.
Yeah,
and we'll move on to Australia now. But just to mention, I was actually fancying the Bulls on this one, but I must say after Gavin and the conductor's argument, I'll probably rethink this and stick to the points. But I will say, conductor, and we won't harp on it, but I do agree with you on Mornay Steyn there. People were singing his praises and saying he was rolling back the clock. I actually don't ever remember him doing little chips over the top when he was in his prime like that. So, I did feel that the opposition let him play there, and I think he played with freedom, and credit to him, he had a good game, but I certainly can't have him coming into the side against the Lions next year or anything like that.
And Brent, and a full credit to him. I mean, he actually had an incredible game. I mean, you can't take it away from him. And I think actually every single try that the Bulls scored was actually well deserved. It was so well worked. Besides for that Ethan van Styl break where the Stormers couldn't tackle, I think he broke 4 tackles in a row. I think Mornay had 2 chips over the top that were very, very well worked, and one behind the back pass that he sort of threw. He really had a fantastic game. It's one of the best games I've actually seen Mornay play throughout his career, and I mean, I'm happy for that. Look, I'm always happy for that guys that play well, but for me, it was always a case. I don't want to take away from his performance, but the proviso is that the Stormers were just absolutely non-existent. So, I could score against a non-existent defense. It's not that tough.
Excellent. Well, I apologize to everybody there. I nearly got him started on the Stormers again, but we managed to cut that one off at the pass. But I want to start with Oracle here on the big game. Oracle last week, New Zealand or Australia played New Zealand in Sydney. The handicap was around 10.5, 11.5 points, and New Zealand absolutely hammered them. In the end, I remember making money on the game. I think I was on unders Australian points and unders Australian tries. Those were my main bets. But in the end, I think a lot of people did see maybe a New Zealand win coming there, but not many people thought it would be by sort of 38 points. We've now got a handicap. We're in Brisbane. Australia do have a decent record against New Zealand in Brisbane. They've won 2, drawn 1, and lost 1 of their last 4. And we've got a 14.5-point handicap here, Oracle. What do you think?
So the first game I went on the minus New Zealand. I lost. I then switched in the second game. I went for the Australian plus. In fact, I went for them on the board, if I remember correctly, 6-1 or something like that. I didn't take a bet in the third game because I couldn't read that game right. I should have stuck with the minus. The score, as you said, nobody expected it. I think it was a record score. I don't think they've ever lost by that much. I'm not 100% sure. It may have been a Sydney record score, something like that. But yeah, I've got nothing for Australia. I don't know what I saw in them in that second game. I don't know if it was the first 15 minutes or the first 8 minutes or whatever it was in that first game when they looked like they were playing very well. I think they were lucky to arrive in the plus there. They were dealt with after that. For me, it's a very small bet here on the minus. I don't think I've read it 100% right, so I need a little bit more. But for me, it's a small bet minus, or it's no bet because I'm not touching Australia. I'll more than likely have a small bet on the minus.
Right, conductor, down to you on this game.
Brent, I took a bit of in a multi. I took a bit of plus 20 Australia, but I'm going to catch out on that. Reason being, this is probably one of the worst Australian sides I've probably ever seen. Reece Hodge at 10. I mean, that is disgraceful at international level. I mean, the guy wasn't even making the Rebels side at 14. I mean, shocking. I understand Mitre and James O'Connor is injured, but man, we obviously guys have said. I saw Chris, in his tweet this week was saying that they've rung the changes. But the changes between Australia and the change between New Zealand is just so gulf in class. I mean, you got Will Jordan on the bench versus Dongunu. I mean, it's just it's like an absolute train wreck versus champagne caviar dinner. I mean, it's just like, should we choose between Geordie Barrett or Will Jordan or Richie Mo'unga I mean, it's just I feel sorry for Dave Rennie. I think he's become a full-blown alcoholic at this stage because, I mean, what can he do? He's got no other option. I mean, I think basically he's reverting to type and saying, listen, you want to narrow the deficit and say, let's not make it a rout. This is my honest opinion. Lolesio missed bad tackles against Richie on Saturday. Bad tackles. I mean, he wasn't even in the same province. That was basically very, very like amateur stuff from Lolesio. And I understand he's his first test, but mate, if you're old enough, you're good enough. I mean, you're going to be making those tackles. I think I was 2 or 3 times. He didn't even make an effort. So I don't know. It's not a good Aussie side for me. It sort of rings. I don't know if you guys remember that 57-0 the Box took again, or 57, was it 57-0 against the All Blacks?
Yes, it was.
Alistair? Yeah.
Pure 1-8, yeah.
It rings some familiar of that sort of era. I think Rennie's got a lot of work, but the problem is I don't think the Aussies, they've got the depth. Who is injured for the Aussies that is going to come back? Timur and James O'Connor. Okay, great. They come back. Are they going to win the World Cup for them? No, they're not. So the problem is that where's their depth going to come from? It's actually poor. I mean, it's not like they've got 14 guys injured that's going to win the World Cup for them. So yeah, I don't know. For me, it's a no bet for me. Brisbane is a better territory for them, for the Aussies. they'll have a better crowd there in Brisbane at Suncorp. But a guy like Will Jordan coming in the second half can score 2 tries easily. So no bet for me.
Excellent. Well, I can tell you, you can read Hein Dumont's preview on for Bet Olymp there on the Good for the Game website, and I haven't read it yet. I did open it because I wanted to refer to it for some Mitre 10 Cups bets, but I'm quickly going to pop on. And sure enough, last try scorer, Will Jordan, and he's got a price there of 16 to 1, or I'm not sure if he's used the decimal or not, 17 or 16 to 1, which seems a nice price for a Will Jordan last try scorer there. So go and have a read of Couch Critics preview on Good for the Game. On that note, we have got a link down below the show to the Good for the Game forum thread. Guys will be sharing info all weekend. I've also got a link there to Oracle YouTube channel, but I haven't seen any of his videos yet. We'll chat to him when we come round to him again now. Betting Stig as well. We'll have his lines up hopefully tomorrow sometime. And yes, of course, the newsletter that goes out in the morning. But Chris, before we get to Oracle, let's bring you in on this game. 14.5 points.
Yeah, so obviously, if people were seeing, I was all over the minus sign last week, and I had mentioned that I thought it was going to be an absolute massacre, was the word I was using behind the scenes. I know we all want Australia to be better. We all think Dave Rennie's, has the magic wand, and Australia are now competitive, and New Zealand have gone down under Crossball. New Zealand are not going to just be bad. Probably for a long time, maybe not at the league level that they were, but for 14. What I see playing out here, I don't see New Zealand making the first start they made. For one, I look at the team sheets. I actually think I like this New Zealand team as the best start in 15 in this whole series. I think that's they got one of the most balanced starts in 15. But then I look at Australia. I see points with Australia as well. I see danger. So. Because it's now a dead rubber, New Zealand have won it, and usually if New Zealand are going to lower their intensity, it's in the dead rubbers. So if New Zealand do drop slightly, and I think Australia will absolutely pick themselves up for this game. I think so. So what I see is a lot of I see points here. I see Australia scoring points in this game, but New Zealand are going to come back and score a try at the same time. So. How I see it playing out, not a fast start from New Zealand, probably tighterish first half, but it might be like 15, 20 points close to each other. But I certainly see New Zealand at the end of it running away with it and clearing that 15-point handicap. I'm not as confident as the 9 and as last week, but I see that's the nature of that's how I see the game playing out. Australia, like I said, Australia will get. I think they absolutely will get better. But at the moment, and I agree with conductor. This kind of reminds me of South Africa when we're going through transitions, and we got positive and excited. We went overseas and we thought we were going to compete, and obviously within 20 minutes we're out of the game. I don't think they'll be out of the game now, but in terms of on paper, match for match, team for team. New Zealand all over this team again, but I certainly don't see a whitewash like last week. Obviously, it can be. I just don't see it this week. I think Australia are going to put some pride into it, and I use the word if because if New Zealand come and want to win, they win, right? They'll win comfortably. But I have a little sneaky suspicion they might not be as good as they've been like last week. And they won by record points in the rain, right? It's dry in Brisbane. Let's make it 60 then, right? Like if you want to bring rain into the equation, but no, I think it'll be closer than last week, but cover the handicap.
Right, I'm just fiddling with this light I got. I can make myself look like Donald Trump on there as well. Chris, thanks for that one. Oracle will get some comment from you now. I just laughed at Kruit Lem. He's one of the big cycling punters, heavily involved in cycling in South Africa, and I follow him on Twitter. Julle money Moenie bet as julle dop nie. So for all of our overseas viewers, it basically means don't bet and drink. And then we've had the question, why isn't Oracle doping tonight? And Oracle, I would have thought you'd be drinking the champagne off the Biden. But there we go. You do have something there. Anything else, Oracle, for you to add on this one? Anything else on the weekend that catches your fancy? We're going to run through the Mitre 10 Cup and Pro 14. You're welcome to, if you want to add anything on that, stay. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'm not going to. And just a word on my videos. I did them, and then I thought I was going to do them, and honestly, I don't know. I'm enjoying the show. As you know, I come on as often as I can. I just want to reply to Kruit. Ons op hierdie tyd bet ons nie. Ons praat oor die bets. Dat ons sal oor die naweek vat. But ons nie bet op donderdag aand want ons op die show is. I think I got that pretty accurate there, conductor.
Kevin, I'm not going to lie, you're better at French than Afrikaans from what I can tell.
We don't bet while we're on the show. We're drinking while we're on the show. Sure, why not? It's Thursday night, 9:45, so let's have a beer. But honestly, don't once you've had a couple of beers, I know I switch my computer off and switch my internet off on Saturday afternoons. I try not to get involved after at least 3 or 4 o'clock. It's dangerous. Groot Lem is 100% right. Drinking and betting is probably worse than drinking and driving. It can kill you. I am going to leave, Brent. I don't have any interest in the other stuff. But what I was going to say to you is, I'm going to tip a little bit of a double. Yeah, I'm going to tip minus 9.5. I'm going to go with the conductor. I'm going to tip minus 9.5 Lions and minus 9.5 Cheetahs. And I think you can put a small little wager on that, and that will deliver you a nice one. I'm going to suggest you don't get involved in the treble. Leave the other game out. If you want to put something else in, maybe a small New Zealand minus, but otherwise, no. That's it.
What did we say the minus, Gav? What did we say the minus 9.5 was on the Lions?
6-1 and 6-1, and the Cheetahs one will probably be about 7-2, maybe 4-1. Yeah. So
what are we looking at there? 7 times 4.5.
30 to 1, between 30 and 40 to 1, depending.
30 to 1 double there from Oracle. What a way to sign off. Gavin Cohn, always a pleasure having you on the show. Go watch the last few votes trickle in the US there and enjoy your winnings.
Yeah, and if you can get on Pennsylvania, get on right now because it's about to close.
Excellent. Gavin, thanks very much. Great having you on the show, Oracle. Chris, just to come up to you, I don't know if you looked at the Pro 14 or Mitre 10 Cup. I know you did mention you probably hadn't. It's up to you if you want to stay on for that or if you want to give us your best bets now.
Yeah, I'll just give you some best bet. Well, I just quickly through Mitre 10. I think, for me, I like in the Hawke's Bay, Wellington. So I think there's a lot of rain coming on Sunday. So I think watch out for the unders this weekend as well. But for the Saturday games, I'm going to stay away from the Auckland. There's too many points. Tomorrow's a Target game. I actually like the minus handicap there. The Tasman Canterbury. So Canterbury, Tasman are the champion side. I think there's points in this game. If it stays dry, I think there's going to be points. I think Canterbury will cover the handicap, but I think there's going to be a lot of points. I trust Bo Robertson as well. Coaching does play a part in my thinking as well. And then for the Sunday games, you've got Waikato, Bay of Plenty. I like the plus on the Bay of Plenty and unders just because I think there's a lot of weather around and it's going to be quite, as they run into the playoffs, it's going to be tight. So Sunday games, I think, are going to be tighter than you would think they would be. So like Bay of Plenty over 6.5 and probably unders there as well. And the Hawke's Bay Wellington, unders as well. So unders on Wellington game, unders on Waikato game, and maybe on the plasters as well. That's all I've got for Mitre 10 Cup. And for Pro 14, nothing strong. Maybe only the Scarlets at minus 21 against Zebra. Yes, Zebra beat Ospreys. That was, I don't know how many people were on that. But I think Scarlets have been toe-to-toe with the top teams in that division. Zebra have competed, but this weekend, Scarlet's quality will probably shine through. I think they're just like the Stormers this weekend. I think they're going to put it together and put Zebra away. So that's all I've got for now in a quick, short.
Excellent. And your best bet on the weekend, Chris, before you sign off? Your best bet across all the rugby?
Best bets is the Lions game. The Lions Bulls over on points. That'll be my best bet. And handicaps, not overly confident on any of them. The points, Lions Bulls, second best. Points, Stormers, Griquas.
Good stuff.
I don't know the points aren't out, but if they're about 56, I don't know what you can get. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I haven't seen if the points lines are out yet for Friday night's game even, but we'll have a look. But Chris, thanks very much. Just a reminder, the guys can find you at the Crow Tips on Twitter. Thanks for joining us.
Good luck, guys. Have a good one.
Excellent. Cheers, Chris. And that leaves me with the conductor. Now, we finished talking about local rugby. We finished talking about international rugby, if I could put it that way. And we're going on to the Mitre 10 Cup. And what I'm going to do now, just to make it easier for us to go through the games, Brendan, is just I'm going to bring up Sunbet's prices here and run through the games. I'll let you, if you want to run through them. You don't have to cover every game, just anything you fancy. I'll also, at the meantime, have a look at what some of the other boys fancy, and I'll jump in every now and again. Southland, Otago. I'm guessing you're going to be going low on Southland points there. Oh, hold on, the conductor, you've muted yourself, mate.
There we go. Sorry, Brent. Sorry, mate. I just want to touch on the Stormers game a bit more, if you don't mind. I don't think I really got to it in my previous presentation. But Southern versus Otago, I think the Brendan Peckerell being the referee there, I think the weather is clear. It's 53. I think it's 47.5 is a point line. I've taken 53.5 unders alternative handicap in the multi. Southern don't generally tend to score much. I see Tony Lambourne from Southern said that they're up for this game. It is a sort of South derby, so they're not going to let it go. So for me, it's a bit tight. Auckland Northlands is a bit of a toughie. Auckland's big handicap there. I see Auckland covering a handicap. They smoked Waikato last weekend, so I see them covering that. North Harbour, I see North Harbour covering the handicap as well. They're in the sort of relegation race against Canterbury, so I see them covering counties. They came so close against Wellington 2 weeks ago. Had a great win against Taranaki this last weekend, but I think that took it all out of them. I think Kieran Reid is gone this week. He's off to Japan. Tasman Canterbury is actually a bit of an enigma. I don't know what to make of it because, Canterbury has got, guys with lots of Super Rugby experience. And I see guys saying, but I mean, you can't really count on that. Canterbury have been absolutely rubbish throughout. I think their coaching staff, they for some other reason, they haven't appointed a head coach. They've appointed two coaches who share power there, and they can't do that. So I like what Henrik has said there. I like the Tasman on the minus. Hawke's Bay are playing for the Ranfurly Shield. That's always a massive game there. Irrespective of David versus Goliath, if you hold the Ranfurly Shield, you're always playing up for it. So I like Hawke's Bay on the plus there. Waikato, I'm very big on the minus against Bay of Plenty. I think the teams may have come out now or will come out in the next couple of minutes. I think it's pretty much morning in New Zealand at the moment. So Bay of Plenty may do a turnover. I don't think so against Waikato. They've got a big game against North Harbour next weekend. I still fancy Waikato. They had a bit of a bad result against Auckland last week, but I don't really take that as a sort of indication that was a bad day. They've beaten North Harbour at home. They've beaten Wellington at home, who are both premiership teams. So I don't really take that as a bad result against them. My number 2 against Taranaki, my main bet will be unders there. Apparently a lot of rain and wind in Palmerston North. So you got to look out for the weather there. Taranaki, disappointed. I think they counted on the Barretts being their mainstay, and obviously once they lost Scott's, Geordie and Bodie, they sort of faded away. But I think the unders there is a play. They weren't very convincing for the rest of the game. So my number 2 want to finish strong. My number 2 had a good game last week against Southland, but I think the weather may overtake them there. So anything under 53 or 54.5 will be a runner.
Excellent. Well, thanks for those, conductor. I just want to run through a couple of the guys did send me their picks. Henrik saying, in order of preference, he likes Tasman minus 12.5, Hawke's Bay to beat Wellington at 12-10. He likes Otago minus 8.5. And then he's already shared his South African fancies in the live chat. And I also heard from one half of Son of a Punt, Jordan Flax. He likes Otago minus 8.5. He also likes the Southland under 18.5 points and under 49.5 in the Manawatu game. So that takes us to the end of the Mitre 10 Cup. Let's just talk a bit of Pro 14. I see there's a few fixtures priced up. I don't know if, here we go, the Pro 14. I don't know if there's any more that maybe haven't been priced up. But do you want to run us through those, conductor?
Yeah, Brent, I can't understand why Connacht is basically minus 4.5. I don't understand that beats Edinburgh very convincingly. They've got a very good side. They've got all the internationals back. I think I think minus Bundiaki is the only international they don't have back this week. Newport Gwent Dragons are, as Dave Cooney would say, is that they're a pub side. I don't rate them at all. I don't know which players are getting back from the Welsh squad, if any. I don't. Nick Tompkins would be a guy I'd probably say if they got back, he'd be good. But I think minus 4.5 in Roddy Parade is a gift. Connacht straight in a multi.
See, that's what Dave's tipping. Dave said put Connacht in your multiples to win.
Yeah, I think the Weather and Roddy Parade looks actually quite decent this weekend. So Connacht for me, I mean they beat Edinburgh in Edinburgh quite convincingly. I mean, the Edinburgh side that's pretty much 3 or 4 times what the Dragons are. So for me, this is actually a no-brainer. I'd take minus 4.5 on the board. Minus 4.5 and Connacht on the board in the multi. Leinster at minus 13.5. Ospreys were diabolical against Zebra. I do understand they were missing, I think, Mitre. They were missing a couple of guys. I'd have to have a look if they get those guys back this week. But if that, irrespective, Leinster have a squad of about 56 guys, probably the top internationals top guys in Europe. I can't see Osprey holding these guys. So minus 13.5 is absolute perilla for me. I mean, I'll take that all day long. They smoked Glasgow side. Glasgow put in a massive performance, and Glasgow lost by 13. So this Osprey side won't hold him. I really think I like Leinster there. It's probably one of my better bets of the weekend. Scarlet Zebra was, as I said, put in a big performance against Ospreys to get that win. They were trumpeting, high-fiving. That was obviously they're targeting the game. I see a bit of a turnover this weekend. Scarlets did lose the previous fixture against Edinburgh. I think they will be up for this game. Just too much power, too much experience here for me. It depends on the weather they're in Wales. I'm not too sure, but for me, it's a minus. Edinburgh against Cardiff. I'm super impressed with Cardiff at the moment. John Mulhill, he's honoured to become one of my favourite coaches. The Cardiff defence is absolutely phenomenal. They were defending. Yes, it was sometimes cynical at sometimes in the previous games, but I think the injury count might be high because of it. So it depends on the team sheet. It depends on how they sort of line up. If they're missing a couple of guys, I might sort of err towards Edinburgh. But I think that was a plus 4.5. I think the plus 4.5 catches my attention against Edinburgh. They haven't been super convincing. They scratched out to draw in the last game. Brent, also Glasgow. It's such a tight game. Glasgow will be so desperate for a win now. But also to me, very quality team. I don't know. I'll probably put Ulster in a multi at straight, but I just feel that Glasgow will be the more desperate at this point in time. I was so impressed with them in the last game. They've imported a couple of internationals, which doesn't affect the internationals, and I say non-Scottish guys, which doesn't affect their call-ups. So it will help them in this sort of sector. But other than that, it's a tough game to call that Ulster Glasgow.
Right, excellent, conductor. Thanks very much. Just having a look. Jordan from Son of a Punt is saying Connacht minus 4.5. And Dave, we spoke about him from Ireland. He was saying go Connacht on the board, onto Leinster on the minus 13.5 on a couple of doubles there. So we've had plenty of tips on the show. Welcome to Pro 14 Tipster as well. He's going with the Connacht Edinburgh double there. Well, that brings us to the end of all of the rugby this weekend. I'm not going to touch on top 14, but obviously if anyone fancies anything, I'm sure Brady will be putting some bets on the Good for the Game forum on that one. And conductor, then it's just left for you and me to wrap things up with best bets. Summarize your fancies for the weekend for us.
I would love to go Stormers minus 7.5, but I can't trust them for results. I'll go Lions plus 6.5. That's my best bet.
Lions plus 6.5. I certainly did enjoy some of the banter on the local game there. I'll certainly be once again sticking to the points markets. Last week, my best bet was Lions, I think over 35.5 points. That came out in the weekend newsletter that goes out on a Friday. So if you are new to our site, subscribe, but also go down below and click on the newsletter subscription. It's a mail that comes out every Friday with some of our fancies, normally a bit of a acca from this week's show. I just can't seem to pin the games together for that acca. Keep missing one here or there, but hopefully this weekend we can catch a nice double-figure accumulator. Thanks, as always, to all the guys who watched on the live show, whether you were watching like most of you on YouTube. There were also some on Facebook and also on Twitter as well through Periscope. So great to have you guys on the show. And Conductor, thanks for coming on. I know it was a short notice for you, but great getting your thoughts. And I'm definitely going to go back and watch your thoughts on that Stormers game one more time because, you left nothing behind there.
I mean, Brent, I think I may have been sort of a little bit grey in the area. I mean, about the way I feel about them. So, like, I'll try and put it in a tweet a bit later. Yeah, it was sort of up and down there. I'm not sure. I think I was really caught what I was trying to say there.
I think they might have. Anyway, Conductor, thanks. That was great. As Cerebral Assassin says, cheers, boys. Have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday for the Handicap rugby chat that matters. And certainly looking forward to some great rugby punting this weekend. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, lads.